everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Project Book Club podcast, episode two and the finale of the Love Hypothesis. Round of applause. Should we just
We
address the
did
elephant in the
it.
room real quick?
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. Victor's not here.
He
Speculate if
said,
you want.
yeah, we won't tell you what he said, but it definitely had nothing to do with our listeners.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not your guys' fault. Don't blame yourselves. That's the most
Don't,
important thing.
please do not.
Whatever you do not blame yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all. Frankly, that's all we're gonna say on the matter. So speculate away. DM us your wildest theory as to why you think Vic wasn't here.
Do you think he listens back to this podcast, or do you think he just lets it go as is?
I don't know. I hope he listens to it.
I do too. I think this might be a hot take. I think this will be our highest rated episode.
I think people are gonna like this one the best, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I already
Mm-hmm.
like it the best personally.
There's going to be a lot less complaining.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to talk about the title of the book.
yeah. This one is pretty aptly named actually, with
Yeah.
every chapter starting with hypothesis. Except,
Some,
okay, flowers to us. I actually think Vic might have been the one who said it. The last chapter, the epilogue, was
Mhm.
results instead of hypothesis on the
I didn't
the.
even notice that.
Oh yeah, we said it last podcast. We nailed it. We're getting good at this book thing, man.
Hmm. We are. We are. And I think that's just reps. We got in the gym. We've been working hard, and we're starting to see the results.
Exactly. Yeah.
People are starting to notice too. Like we're walking down the street, and people are like, "These guys can pick out a plot in a book like anything."
Yeah. Like, dang, you guys look like you know about books. It's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, we do. It's actually
Do
just because
you?
we both wear glasses. But
Yeah, I was about to say. Do you guys read? Why? Because my glasses.
yeah, yeah, I guess I
Yeah. Yeah.
do. I actually do. Yeah. But I mean, I guess we can go through the plot real quick. But before we get into that, I mean, we have to address the other elephant in the room.
I
There's
think we do.
two or three chapters that are more graphic than porn
Anything.
itself. Yeah,
Anything.
it's
Okay.
nuts. And I recommended this book to a couple of people before I got all the way through it. So let that be learn from my mistake. Don't
Hmm.
recommend this book to other people. I had to text people and be like, "Hey, please
I'm not a pervert.
don't read this."
Dude, I told you, me and my mom shared that Amazon Kindle app or the Kindle Unlimited or whatever, and she's always telling me like, if you read something good, let me know. And we don't have the same taste. She's not a big fantasy gal or whatever. So I was like, this is it. This is where I get to give her a book that is really awesome. And I'm really glad I didn't text her because if my mom read that stuff, she wouldn't be able to look at me the same.
It'd be mortifying to talk to your
Like,
mother about this. My mom listens to this podcast, so I hope,
mm,
Mom, don't read the book, please.
yeah, don't read along with this one.
Yeah,
Or just read the first half and then take our word because we nailed the ending, obviously.
yeah.
Like you don't have to read the second half.
Take it. Yeah, just don't read the second half of the book. It's fine. Just take our word for it with the recap we're gonna go through. So where we left off, Adam goes out of town, right? And then Olive gets picked to do that SBD conference. I don't remember if those are the
Yeah.
correct letters, but her abstract gets picked, and she
Hmm.
has to do a panel. She freaks out about it. This is when we
Yeah.
first get introduced to Holden, Adam's best friend.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like a couple pages before or chapters before that, where we got introduced to them, like just in passing. I think he was at the picnic or something like that,
Oh,
or
that's
maybe
right.
met him at the coffee shop, probably where they spend most of their time.
That's right. Yes.
But this is where we got deep Holden, and I think we called this too that Holden and Malcolm would end up getting together at this conference.
I think we nailed that too. I mean, we did
If
figure
not, I'm
out
going
a
to give
good.
us credit for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should at least get credit for it.
Hmm.
Overall, I did really like the book. I mean, these next couple of chapters with, um, we knew. Did we know Tom? Did we meet Tom at this point already?
Yeah,
I'm a
'cause he
mess right now with where we started in this book because it feels like a lot happened in these last 11 chapters.
it definitely like accelerated very quick because we knew Tom because he came to visit and he interviewed Olive and everything like that beforehand.
Okay.
And then he was there. Wasn't he actually on the panel with her? Because she went to go give her speech, which was ironically at the exact same time as
Adam's
um,
keynote.
Adam's keynote, because that was like the big thing is we thought Olive and Adam would be there and he would help guide her through all of this, but nope, he was the keynote speaker, which is apparently the biggest deal at these conferences.
Yeah, it
I'm
turns
not a
out by the end
science
of the
person,
book,
so
Holden's like, he's the greatest scientific mind of our
yeah,
generation, and you're like, oh, I knew he was smart. Like,
yeah.
dang, okay.
Einstein who?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Adam Carlson is Einstein, but tall, handsome, and athletic.
uh-huh,
Everything Einstein wasn't.
everything. Um, but yeah, they finally get there. She gives her speech, crushes it, and she was talking about how she got there early. And I think we were talking about it the last pod. We were just like, Tom's gonna do something, just something wrong. We knew the second that Holden said, "Watch out for that Tom guy," and I knew something was coming when he met her outside of the conference room, and he kind of did the hand on the lower back and like pushed her through, and she like made the comment about it. I was like, oh, it's starting.
I knew he was going to be a
Cringe.
bad guy, but man,
Terrible. Scum of
terrible
the earth.
person. Yeah. And I don't want to get like too into it, but he sexually harasses her, which is insane. I didn't see that coming. I knew it was going to
Like
be bad, but not that bad.
I thought he was going to make a move for sure, but I didn't think he was going to be like just a terrible person about it, because the whole thing is just shocking. Like he was, for him to be that like obvious about it, you have to think that he does this like all of the time, because he even says it. He says all of this stuff to her and she's like, "I'm going to report you. I'm going to tell Adam." And he's like, "No, you won't, because it won't work."
Yeah, it won't work, and your science sucks. So if you do, I'll make sure that, like, you send me all of your science. So I will,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like basically extortion, too, which is
Yeah.
just horrible to do to a person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't. It was a shocking chapter. I can't lie to you.
And when that happened, did you remember from reading it that she had her phone on record
No, not
still?
until later.
I remembered it like right off a rip. I was like, like she's still recording for sure. Like this happened pretty much immediately afterwards.
Yeah, that's a good call because I didn't catch it until later when she says, not when she goes to send it to Dr. Aslan, but there's a point in between where she's like, when she turns it off. Eventually
Hmm.
she's like, "Oh, I was still recording," and then
Yes,
turns it
yeah.
off. And I was like, I
First
think
thing I
you
would have
caught
checked,
Tom. Yeah, listen through that real quick.
and like this, like this kept making me so mad in the book um, where she didn't want to do anything because she didn't want to hurt Tom's feelings, which like totally makes sense. Like I can see that happening where you're just like, I just really don't want to hurt Adam. I don't want like they go so far back. Like I don't want this to happen. This could just be an isolated incident. Like you just start convincing yourself of stuff like that. But in that moment, like we know how Tom feels, and we're like Tom or not Tom. We know how Adam feels, and Adam will 1,000% have your back here.
Yeah.
You know,
Her not She was very oblivious to Adam being.
head over heels. Like
Yeah, she didn't I don't think she realized it until the very end of the book.
it gets so dark, but I loved like the second Adam came back from his keynote and stuff like that, how he's just like immediately like 100% there for her. Like she's crying and she's just trying to like deflect and ask him how his day is, and he's just like, "Mm-mm, we're talking about you," and like he's just like boyfriend of the year, like he knows exactly what she needs, where she's just like, "I just want to eat and drink and I don't want to talk to anybody, like I just want to vibe with my person." And they go and get like, what do they get? They got like conveyor belt sushi.
Yeah, yeah, conveyor belt sushi, and I think they have like a couple of drinks too, which just
Yeah,
sounds like an incredible night.
dude. Upset tummy of the year, though. Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
100%.
You're
I've been
mixing
to a conveyor
beer.
belt sushi place actually though, and the food was good, and I
Yeah,
had beers. But yeah, I
I
definitely had an upset tummy the next day.
yeah, 1,000%. Especially knowing what they're doing afterwards.
Yeah, the
They're
funniest
doing
part
heavy
about that
cardio.
is, uh, she's like what 26 or something like that, and Adam's
Yeah.
34. what that did to Adam is completely different than what that did to her
Mm-hmm.
stomach. I bet you Adam was like, "Thank God I have Pepto back in the hotel room because I gotta
Yeah.
dam up these walls or it's gonna get bad in there."
I got Pepto and I got Tums. I got all
Yeah, yeah, I
the
got so
necessities.
many defenses here.
Dude, 'cause she's still in college too, where she's eating like ramen, like she's eating what she can, and it's not the best food. And it's like very clear that Tom's like a health nut, and he's eating like only the purest kind of stuff, like organic from Whole
He's a
Foods.
34-year-old man. He gets a tummy ache from sugar. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Well,
makes
maybe not.
sense.
Well, when you just have like 9 pack rock hard abs, do you get belly aches anymore, or do?
I think you still get tummy aches. I'm probably never gonna have abs like that, so I
Yeah.
don't know. But you also don't get abs like that by eating crap. So
Mm,
you
very
know.
true.
But yeah,
Very true.
so they get back from the date, and that it gets incredibly graphic for like 3 chapters.
And it starts off very slow. Like there was never a chance that they were sleeping in separate beds. Like never a chance. They were
I was
always gonna
shocked
do it.
there was 2 beds when they walked into the hotel room.
Super weird, right? Like they booked this hotel room for a single person who's the keynote speaker, the most important person. And you'd be like, in my head, it's like give him the biggest king size bed in the biggest room possible. Nope, they just gave him two queens and a pull out.
Yeah, yeah, he got the cheapest hotel room you can
Yeah,
get at the Marriott Bonvoy, not a sponsor. And it's
not as
like, yeah, and he's like, "Don't worry, there's 2 beds." And she, even in her head, she's like, "It's not gonna be 2 beds." And then she shows up, and there's, I don't know if he went out of his way to like make the 2 beds thing
he
happen.
changed it for
He
sure.
had to have, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
only explanation here.
Uh-huh. Um, but she forgets her PJs. He gives her a shirt. Classic move.
Biology ninja,
Yeah,
hilarious.
hilarious. He's like, it's a gift, and she's like, sure, sure, sure.
The
You know,
funniest thing is every
his
dude
gamer
has
tag is.
one shirt that's terrible. Like,
I got multiple, dude. I think I only got terrible shirts,
I think I do too.
but you know that's for sure his gamer tag too,
Oh
like
yeah,
biology ninja, like.
oh yeah, the biology ninja.
And then it's like his favorite. I don't even know, like element on the periodic table, like the numbers are afterwards,
Yeah,
like.
yeah, it's definitely something. It's creative, very nerdy gamer tag for Adam
Hmm.
Carlson.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But then, yeah, then they just bone all night. What also pisses me off is Olive is the worst person ever with her phone. Like I don't know when this book was written, so like what phone etiquette was then, but if I was trying to get a hold of you guys and I knew you were in this hotel and you didn't respond for like 18 straight hours, I'd be livid.
that's fair. And On sends her what, like 140 something text messages.
Drunk texts too. The drunk texts in the book were funny as heck.
Audiobook wise, they were terrible.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to describe it. It was so bad.
Did it
But
pick up on like the smiley face or was it like colon open parenthesis?
it says smiley face. But
Okay.
yeah, wait, to be honest with you, after getting away from the smutty chapters, it was almost refreshing to. I was like 143 text messages might be the rest of the book, so
Hmm.
this might be all I have to listen to from here. But then she
Hmm.
stops after like 20.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm glad there's a couple of things at the end of the book that I really liked. And one of them is when An and Malcolm come in the next day. Only one bed is made. Well, one bed is fully made because
Hmm.
they stayed in the same one. And Malcolm brings it up later because I
Yeah.
was like, that's
Picked
a
up on that.
super obvious thing if you walk into
Hmm.
a bedroom that one bed is like beds are made so perfectly. There's no way you wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
So I was like, how? And Malcolm, I was like, Malcolm knows, but then it would make sense that he wouldn't say it in front of An because An is not privy to this information.
Hmm. Um, it just makes me want to skip to like when they come back later on in Malcolm, but I feel like something happened in between. Like what was going on in between there?
She goes and breaks up with Adam
Yeah, because
in
he
between.
he goes to do his interview there, right? Because that's where he tells her that he's gonna move to Harvard, essentially, that he's taking the interview, and he's like playing it super coy, where he's like, I don't know, I'm just interviewing. I don't know if I'll get the job.
Yeah, which is
And
hilarious.
she's
This
like,
is just super
this is a
genius.
formality. Yeah.
Yeah, and it becomes you realize how much of a formality it is later too when Holden
From
is like
Holden.
Harvard has asked him to interview every year for the last 10 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is funny.
Yeah,
Um,
because
but
she
that's
doesn't do
it, I think.
anything. She takes, yeah, I think this is where she's just like kind of taking Dr. Oslin's advice or whatever, and like asking her advisor to like reach out to people for her, essentially knowing that people will respond to that. But yeah, that's when she goes out to Harvard to like actually break up with Tom, and he handles it super good.
Or
My
Adam,
mind,
not Tom.
Tom, I keep getting them screwed up, but Adam handles it super well. If I just like this girl that I've been crushing on for like 4 years and then fake dating for two and then like finally get like the moment where it's like, okay, she feels the same way I do about this whole thing. And then she comes to visit me. And I'm like, this is sick. Like
Yeah, like she said yes to
hard work
dinner.
pays off.
This is
Yeah.
sick. Yeah.
And then she comes out here and she breaks up with me. I would not handle it well. I'd be a mess.
I
And
would
he was just like, whatever works for you. Like I get it.
good for him for playing it cool. I would love to know what he did between then and like the next time they see each other because
Mm-hmm.
I would have gotten hammered personally.
1,000%.
He made dinner plans with her and she broke up with him and canceled dinner. That is prime drinking hour. Like I'm
Yeah.
going to the bar and just slamming beers all night.
And you're the infamous Dr. Adam Carlson. You show up
Yeah,
to any bar in Harvard, you're drinking for free forever.
exactly. I'm gonna get drunk and do quantum mechanics in front of Harvard grads and be like, they're
He'll
gonna be like, what?
probably solve like the hardest question in science, which
Yeah,
I can't think of any, but he'll just solve it while he's hammered.
I
Make
can't
it
even
super
think
easy.
of a question. Yeah.
Nope.
Um, but yeah, so that happens. Then she goes back to the hotel room, and then for the next like day and a half, all she does is cry, sleep, and send emails.
Which is
And
what I would do if I got broke up with.
a
Minus the
hundred
emails.
percent. Yeah, I probably wouldn't send many emails unless I was a grad student at Stanford. But uh, she takes Adam's advice, and it actually does help because she sends
Hmm.
emails, or Dr. Aslan sends emails, and she gets a bunch of responses, which is sick.
Which, and a lot of them were saying like, I was at the SBD or whatever. I heard your talk, or I saw your report or something like that from the magazine, or I was on the panel. Like you crushed it, which completely going against that asshole Tom.
Yeah, yeah. Like that right there was validating enough. I know she didn't actually get those emails until later, but like that's pretty
Hmm.
validating. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was pretty happy about that. When the she saw the audio recording and it was 7 hours or whatever, I was like, there's no way this doesn't get played out loud at some point. But like that was a classic.
Classic. She just having it on full blast while your friends are there, and it just starts at the worst possible time. Like for her, who's trying to keep this a secret.
Yeah. It fits in line with everything else she's done this whole book though, because she is like
Hmm.
brilliant scientist, and then in like her personal life, she is just like pretty goofy, and
Hmm.
does like makes mistakes all the time. So the fact that that happened was pretty good. I mean, her friends were like super supportive about it. Then they let On in on the dating secret.
I was
Um,
bummed about that. I was really hoping On knew, and she was just like screwing with her the entire time.
Yeah. Well, it
It'd be-
does. On does say that she was like, I was kind of messing with you. Like, I just thought he was really into you and you were into him, and I was trying to like make you guys
like,
comfortable
yeah,
about the.
force the problem.
And I
Yeah.
was glad that they addressed on doing the like forcing the PDA thing
Hmm.
because that was driving me nuts the whole
Yeah.
book. Like, I could not. I don't know. I like if one of my friends did that to me, I would lose my goddamn mind.
I think it's like a pretty good friend move from her now, like hindsight 2020, where it's just like you're just trying to get your shy friend kind of like out of the shell and like push them where they know they need to be type deal. I
100%.
was I was laughing though when Malcolm said the whole thing, and On was like, "This is like the worst rom com ever. Maybe even a book that won't sell any copies." I was like, "Nah, we're
So
breaking the
funny.
third wall."
Incredibly, yeah, yeah, and an
Yeah,
incredibly self-aware book with how many times they
yeah,
bring up like this isn't a rom-com, and you're like, we
yeah.
we all know it is, which I love. That's a huge plus for me is that the book was like
Hmm.
very self-aware about that.
Hmm. Um, and then right after this, they're all sitting here wondering what to do, and Malcolm comes up with the genius idea. He's like, "Man, I wonder if there was anybody in the world we could bounce all of this off of who knows Tom better than any or Adam better than anybody that'd be able to give us some good advice." And they're like, "Oh my God, Holden Bubble Butt
Yeah, Holden Bubble Butt. Oh my god. Their relationship right off the bat, they're like the most annoying couple ever. But
ever,
it's very
ever."
funny. Like I don't know, because Malcolm's like a funny character, and Holden is also that same thing. So them
Hmm.
dating is very funny, but it's just like, oh my
Chaos.
god,
Yeah,
you guys hooked up once last night. Shut up.
yeah. And they're like in love, but
Yeah.
like you guys are just like drunk hookups at the bar.
Yeah, I am glad that they like are actually in love, and I'd like to think they get a happy ending too. So yeah,
Hmm.
there were a couple of lines that or Malcolm said that are just so funny.
Hmm.
Yeah, like there was one where he's like, "We just 69'd all night." I was like, dude,
I thought
what?
we got away from this. Like,
Yeah, it was just like one little like smut jab, and I
yeah.
was like, that might have been the knockout punch. That might have done it for me.
Which was so funny. Like I was laughing because the original time they were talking about like the hookup or whatever, like the very first night afterwards, and she was like breaking the news that like Holden and Malcolm hooked up or whatever. They were talking about how Holden's usually like a every detail afterwards kind of guy, and he was pretty quiet after this one. He was like, the rest is history. And they're like,
Yeah.
wow, he must be in love. And then the very next day, he's like, we're banging like rabbits and we're 69 and all night long. It's like,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right,
it's like Malcolm's
like
back, baby. Hell yeah.
you, you stood on that hill for a total 24
Yeah.
hours.
Played it cool one
Yeah.
time. It's very
And
funny.
then that's when they go and talk to Holden, right? And Holden gives her like the solid advice. He does the perfect thing where he could have just told her straight up what to do, but was like, you need to make this decision for you. But at the end of the day, you're a scientist and you run off of facts, and you got a pretty hard set of facts on you.
Classic rom-com trope
Uh,
too of someone being like, "But it's your decision. I'm not going to tell you what to do here." Because if someone came to me with that problem, I'd be like, "You have a recording? We should go to the police right now."
now,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, we're gonna go to
just go live
Harvard.
on Instagram right now.
Yeah, like I'm gonna invite Tom, to be live on Instagram with me,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna ask him about it publicly. Like, yeah, which, granted, is not a very good storytelling device. So, yeah,
No.
yeah, that was very good advice from Holden, and then she knows what to do from there.
Did you like the Uber driver scene?
Yeah, I did. At the end, I thought the
Made me
Uber
giggle.
driver was pretty funny when she was just like, "Well, can you not do it?" And she was like, "No,
Yeah,
I have to do it." She's like, "Can you live with the consequences if you don't?" She's like, "I don't think so." Get in there.
yeah, and
Yeah.
give me 5 stars for the free advice.
Yeah, for the free therapy. Yeah, give me 5 stars. Yeah, it's very funny. I did think so. The next scene, obviously, she walks in the restaurant. Adam, in the least cool manner possible, kind of makes like a bit of a scene. Tom plays prevent defense, which doesn't work because Adam is
The
like,
worst defense ever.
yeah, but I mean, he committed to it. He was like, no, we have to go sit down right now. He knew. He's
Mhm.
smart guy. He's an asshole, but he's a smart guy. And then
Typical
she
Olive
just
fashion too. When Adam goes leave, and she's like, "Oh, okay, like I can not you,
Yeah,
Tom."
yeah. I was like, I was listening to it, I think in the car or something, and I was like, not you, Olive, shut up.
Like, this is not about. Well, I guess it is about you, but like, come on.
Yeah, yeah. It was like, hey, actually, the whole thing is about you. I'm sorry. This is actually your story. But like, he wasn't
I just want to
talking
see
to
Tom get
you.
his ass beat.
Yeah, yeah. Which almost happens. I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
like Adam like kind of tosses him with one hand.
Mhm.
He hits him
Oh
with the
yeah.
palm of the
Obviously, his big
chest.
meaty paws with his
Yeah.
strapping biceps. Of course,
Yeah.
a back the size of Mississippi. Like,
And he
we kind of
tosses
skipped it.
Tom.
We kind of skipped it, but like while Tom was playing defense or whatever, at like Olive's just like, you know what, I'm just, and she just plays it on full blast,
Love
like
that.
right there.
Yeah.
Huge move, alpha move. She's like, I'm the captain now.
Best move she makes it maybe the whole book. Besides fake dating Adam at the beginning, which leads to all
Yeah,
this. But yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was great. And then yeah, Adam is like the old Harvard professor comes up and is like, "What is the meaning of this?" And Adam is like, "Listen, dude, we have a lot to talk about.
Your office right
Yeah,
now.
your office, dinner's over, and no, I'm not coming to Harvard anymore."
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved his like last sentence and he was like, and keep Tom away from me. I was surprised he just kind of like left Olive there, you know? Like that did not seem like a very Adam move. Like I know she can't come per se. I guess she could. Like what better than the horse's mouth for this situation?
Yeah, he was like,
But
"Send that to me," and
and
then
then leave.
yeah, that was the only part I was a little like, how did that? Was he like, all right, now go home?
It just
I guess
seemed
she
very
had,
not Adam Carlson.
yeah, she had to leave the next morning, I guess, right earlier because she didn't have a direct flight or whatever. So maybe she
That
was
was
like,
funny.
that was very funny too. That she was like, Malcolm and her were like, we're gonna land. They're gonna land 10 minutes after us because they actually got a direct flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one part though when they land. She goes, guess I can put my jacket away now that we're back in California. It's like, dude, you're in San Francisco, aren't? Didn't you guys land in San Francisco? It's still gonna be cold there. It's the
Yeah.
winter. It's
Yeah. It's not San
North
Diego. It's
California. Yeah. I was like, dude, what are you talking about?
yeah. Yeah. It was one of those. It's like, all right, we get it. California's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, all right, great, beautiful California, sweet. Yeah, but
Mm.
still, that's and then so they meet them at the airport. Then they decide to go to dinner. And they
That
have
was
a
funny too. It was like, it's
hilarious
my
double date.
birthday.
Yeah,
Adam's like, it's not your birthday. I've been your friend for 30 years. He's
I've
like, I
been
was
to
lying all of those 30 years.
I've been to 5 Power Ranger themed birthdays, and the most recent one was when you were 17, which is so funny.
Who's your favorite Power Ranger?
It's a good question. I guess maybe the Blue Ranger. I like the color blue. Pretty cool guy.
Did you ever see that movie where they were like extra I guess there was like the White Ranger. It had like multiple Rangers. The white one was like the head honcho. He was the cool one.
Yeah, there was one where one of them gets like a katana, and
Yeah,
that one is that might be the White Ranger who gets the katana. I was like,
I
that's the
think so.
coolest guy for sure. But
I
yeah, out
remember
of the
telling my
OG
parents I
five,
wanted to be a
your your
did it
thing
break up?
froze. Yeah, we're good though. I can.
Uh,
What were you saying? You told
I
your
was
parents
like,
what?
no, I told them I wanted to be a Power Ranger when I
That's
grew
it.
up.
Yeah, that's. I was a Power Ranger for Halloween years in a row. I'm
But
pretty
I was
sure.
like young and oblivious to think like it was just a job you could apply for later in life or that they would like come and recruit you. I was like, I'm just going to get a helmet and then just be able to turn into a big monster car with all my friends.
Yeah, my mom has documentation of me in like kindergarten writing that I want to be a ninja when I grow up. And it's like
Still time.
there's still a chance, but my joints hurt too much at this point. I just don't think I have the athleticism.
True.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to do that. You know, I'm too clumsy. I would do something with a
I
sword.
don't
I would hurt
sneak
myself.
well. Yeah.
I don't sneak.
I
I'm
just
not
I'm
stealth.
not very sneaky. Yeah.
Uh,
But back to the book. uh,
enough about Power
enough
Rangers and
about
stealth.
ninjas and Power Rangers. Back to the love hypothesis. So they go on the date. The only significant thing really from the date, or I guess Adam and Malcolm make
Malcolm.
up. Yeah. And
They
then
realize they have a ton in common.
so
They hate
funny.
pumpkin spice.
Yeah, so funny that they are just like on the same page, and then Malcolm takes it like a step too far, and Adam shuts
Yeah,
him down. It's
yeah,
very funny.
yeah.
And then Holden lets it slip that Adam's been in love with Olive for like 4 years now.
Mm. I was waiting for that to be like a problem in some way, but I was like, this book's just it's almost over. If it ends with them like not being together, I'll be mad.
I would have been super bummed. I was rooting for them the whole time, but I did think it was going to be more of a problem, and it turned out to just not really be a thing. I mean, I guess they both knew, and neither of them just talked about it until Holden was like, "Hey, you guys have met before. You did the whole
And
fake dating thing."
and with like literally everything that Olive was putting Adam through that entire time, like yeah, at this point you both made a lot of mistakes. Let's just start clean right now.
I agree. Yeah, I do think like the end of the book, they actually start dating in my mind.
Hmm.
I wonder if they, because in the epilogue they kind of count the original kiss from the beginning of the book is when they started dating. It seems like
Hmm.
when they go because they go back to the lab and take the pictures at the same
Hmm.
time. So I guess they counted that. I guess I would too. I mean, there's not a ton of rules with that stuff, so who cares? But it
Yeah,
seems like at the end of the
they make
the
the rules.
book before the epilogue, that's when they start like really dating.
Yeah,
Yeah. Also, her saying "I love you" in was it
Dutch.
Dutch? Yeah,
Yeah,
was I mean, who didn't see that coming?
classic.
Yeah, I can't believe we didn't say it on the last pod,
Hmm.
unless it
Yeah, we should
was
have known that.
after the last.
I think it was just so obvious that we didn't even bring it up. You
That's
know,
true. Yeah, give it credit to us for that. Yeah,
my one last gripe. I got a gripe for Victor. You know, he's griping somewhere else about this book right now. But
certainly.
the fact that they go back to her dorm rather than his house
Yeah,
was bothering. Like walking back to her place rather than like getting in the car and going to. It's like, come on, you guys are spending the night together. Let's not be crazy here.
I do think she has an apartment as opposed to like a dorm room that she shares, but
Nonetheless,
I
it's
would be
not
like,
his house.
let's go to the rich guy's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she has like one towel and stuff like that. Like
Yeah. Malcolm almost lets it slip to Holden that
yeah,
they are fake dating. I forgot that he doesn't know at that point. I was like, why did he stop
true.
himself? And then, yeah, that could
I
have
didn't even
caused
pick
a
up on that.
whole other problem. But Malcolm saves himself, and he doesn't seem like a guy who cuts himself off very often on like
Mm.
things he's saying. So, props to Malcolm for that one. Good character, Malcolm.
Malcolm was top tier. He
Yeah.
held the secret. He gave really solid advice.
He made her
He was
cookies
funny.
when she was upset.
I wonder if he perfected that recipe. I'd love some of
I
Malcolm's
would love
cookies.
to check out Malcolm's cookies. Yeah, certainly.
Mm.
But yeah, so that's the end of the love hypothesis. Happy ending. They get married, probably. I'm assuming.
How
You
many
know,
kids do you think? Like nine?
like three. They seem like a
Three?
three. Yeah, yeah, I think three. Maybe like
Three.
twin boys and a girl.
I like that.
Yeah, just seems like something Adam Carlson could have control over somehow and make that happen. So,
Hmm.
yeah. I I liked the book. The smut really took me out of it for a bit though. Those were a couple of really hard chapters. I'm not gonna lie, I skipped through a decent amount of them.
It really brought down my rating
Me too.
for the book. And I know it's one of those things where it's like, yep, you're reading a love book. Obviously, there was smut. And I think it's just like the reason it brings it down so much is I would just be very embarrassed to recommend the book. Like if it was just like one chapter maybe, but it was a lot. Or if it
I
wasn't as graphic, I would just be very embarrassed to recommend this book.
I agree, and like I knew it was gonna happen, right? Like
Hmm.
reading this book the whole time, from the moment she said no sex, you knew that they were going to at some point.
Yep.
But it was like you said, a lot, like a lot. It was like 2, 3 chapters, something like that, and
The verbiage was crazy.
yeah, the detail and just the way it was written, it took me out of the actual story, and I
Yeah.
had like I had to like refocus on getting back into it. So
Hmm.
it did, yeah. I feel silly for saying it, but same thing. The smut just like took me out of it a little bit, and like it
I
should be
just don't
more
want that in a
expected.
book.
Yeah, it should be more
I,
expected in a book like this than it would be like, I don't know, like a Red Rising or something like that. So it's like, yeah, but it hurt.
and,
I didn't like it.
and no shade, obviously, like it's just not for us in that standpoint. But all of that being said, we got out of our comfort zone and overall enjoyed this book. Do we want to get into like ratings? I guess
Yeah,
we're
let's.
kind of we're towing that line. Do we want to give Victor's first or last? Let's give him last.
Yeah,
Let's
we'll
give
give
him last.
Victor's last, just because he didn't give us any reasoning, and also probably didn't finish the reading. So,
And
um,
also, we had the exact same score, so I want him to be copying me.
there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
But my score, 3.9. I thought it was a very good book. It was in the fours until kind of the tail, like those chapters we were talking about. So it's kind of right on that cusp of being like great, but it's a very, very good book.
I agree with you. I mean, I liked it a lot too. I gave it a 3.8. Um, and I liked how self-aware it was about it just being a rom-com, and who doesn't
Mm-hmm.
love a rom-com? Which, like like you said, the hard part about it is recommending this to someone when it's that graphic for 3 chapters. They're not random, but 3 chapters just like in the book are just so out. It feels
Yeah.
so out of what the book like was for before and after it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I give it a 3.8. I did really like it though. I mean, yeah, I'd
And
watch it if it was a rom com.
1,000%.
They made a
Thousand
movie. I
percent. I
would
would see it in
definitely
theaters.
watch it. Yeah, I would too.
It, um, and it does have one of those qualities that I think like we as a podcast really value is it is a very easy read. Like what you see is what you get. I mean, we read this book in 2 weeks, which is unheard of for
Yeah,
us. We are not speed readers by any means.
no, not at all. And like you say, easy read, fun read. The first half of the book was sped through it. We sped through
Mm-hmm.
it, and it was really good. Second half of the book had the things that we've qualmed about, but
Mm-hmm.
still
And
good.
I still think I would definitely recommend it. I would definitely have to throw in a bunch of like warnings though. Being like you just gotta trust me. You can skip over it. Not a lot happens there. Like that engages the plot, so you can just go past it if you don't want to read it. If you do want to read it, have at it. But
That is actually kind of a good spin zone on it because it is not a plot. They're not plot moving chapters, so you can skip them if you don't like that. Like I personally don't want to read that or audiobook that. So, you know,
I read it full through because I very much worry that I'll miss like a detail that's like super critical to the book, and I'll like be like, what the heck? And the only thing that I got from it was she kind of was realizing like in the moment that this was like their last night together, that he was going to be moving to Harvard and all of this stuff, and she was like, I'm just going to take this moment and enjoy this moment, but after today, like it's over. Like that's the only
yeah,
thing that I got from it, but that doesn't change your opinion on the book either way.
exactly. And I mean, it's not like a huge because the next chapter she breaks up with them, so it's like
Yeah.
not a huge plot mover or anything. So you can skip them and still enjoy the rest of the book. I think it's still a good book overall.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I mean, as a pod, I guess we're still at a 3.9 then.
Yeah,
Two
because
3.9s
Victor
and a 3.8.
Yeah, Victor texted us his score was a 3.9, blatantly copying Travis, who just gave us
Yeah.
his score of 3.9. So, yeah,
Kind of just it's gross for him to not show up and then just copy. It's like, dude, you can't just put your
craziness.
name on our project. Like we did all of this science project, and
Yeah,
then you come in at the last second and put your name on it
this
just
is
because we're
our
gonna get an A.
project book club, not his. No, he is.
Unbelievable.
He'll be back next episode, hopefully,
Yeah.
maybe. We'll
Mm.
see.
Do we want to talk about our next episode?
Yeah,
We want to
so,
give our loyal fans
uh, yeah,
a little taste.
let's. Do we say the name? Should we say the name? I guess
That's
we
up
can
to
say
you.
the name. We're doing a crossover event with the Two to Ramble guys. So
Woo!
we're very excited about it. We are going to be recording that. Actually, by the time you hear this, we'll have recorded that. So we're going to do that. We're very excited to chat with them. They seem very cool. Their podcast is very good. Go check it out if you haven't listened to it, but you probably have because it's very good. So, yeah, check it out. Get excited for that. And we will see you next week for that episode. So, I hope everyone had a happy Valentine's Day.
Go find your love hypothesis.
It's a great place to end it. We're gonna end it right there.